if we think that the theory of everything should be in principle a theory that allows us to make sense of all the observable phenomena of nature, well, this is where the problem lies. There are two different ways of making sense of the world. The first one is related to our ability to grasp the world as a whole, but it projects us as an observer outside the world. And so we become more or less alienated from the world we observe. So there is this dichotomy between the subjective and the objective. We are passive, but we are very much aware of what is happening if we want to look. So it's a little bit like watching a hockey game from the height of the stadium. You see everything that is going on, and so you have an overview of the situation. I would call this first way of knowing the contemplative way, so maybe it's, and the attempt to reach an all-comprehensive knowledge to make it fully harmonious would be called the problematic of contemplation. The second is related to the desire to perform successful action, to be able to transform the world in a satisfactory way. The second way of making sense of the world forces us to be fully intimate with the world. We have to leave our position of the overview. We have to step on the ice, like using the hockey analogy. The type of knowledge that is being produced are specific to the situation or the development occurring within a system. And the attempt to make this type of knowledge more perfect is what I would call the problematic of instrumentalization. The two problematics, or the two types of knowledge they produce, are irreconcilable. Now, irreconcilable is not like your rabbit and duck example. In fact, it's very easy to see these two things together. You just have to draw a circle around it, and you see both at the same time. And in fact, this procedure is how, if you look at the Chinese writing, it's a combination of ducks and rabbits, and when you bring them together, you have a meaning, and so you have. And so the problem is really the incompatible thing, or the irreconcilable, is that you cannot see at the same time the circle. So you see the circle, and being aware of the circle, and at the same time being aware of either the rabbit or the duck. So it's like either one or the other here. If you forget the circle, yeah, your analogy is right, but if you bring in the circle, it's not totally right. So what it presupposes here is it's impossible to condense these two types of knowledge into one single piece of information like a mathematical formula. Because a mathematical formula is just a kind of a mapping of movement. And so we cannot have a toe, like a theory of everything, and have a nice formula that we can print on a t-shirt. So what it means here is that we always have a choice to do. So either we want to see the world as it is, as kind of a global thing, or we have to be satisfied with approximate rules, but they give us a lot of power into transforming this world. Now, at the first sight, we may say, well, there is not really incompatibility, because we think of our deepening of understanding of reality in the atomic world allow us to create computers. Again, what I want to say is that these two knowledge cannot be simultaneous. It can be separated, and eventually, if you look at science and technology, it seems to have taken two different paths, and these guys are two different type of people, the philosopher on one side and the engineer on the other side. Just by a way of kind of anecdote, do you know who invented the VCR? The VCR, I don't know if you remember this. Well, it seems it is the British. That's VCR is before the CD or the video recorder. And so it seems it's the British that probably thought of the system, but they couldn't make it work. And so the Japanese, who had probably a more practical mind, they found out how to solve the problem. What they did is, the problem with the VCR is that the tape is always rolling around itself. It cannot do it smoothly. And so the Japanese just look at it and look at it and look at it. And someone took, as we say, a click and then put it there and everything works. So if you go in the old machine, you see a little pin somewhere, and that's what makes the thing work. Anyway, so what I want to say here is that you end up with two different type of knowing, and you have to make a decision. Again, just to bring Bošković again in the picture, you see that in his text, the way he is especially moving from one to the other, but his theoria is really the contemplative view, and that's why it brings him to question the reliability of sense experience. Now, what it means here, if you think to doubt your sense experience, you cannot actually act in the world because you have no basis to it. So actually, engineers, we talk about knowledge as symbolic, but engineers have to take what they see and what they imagine literally in order to bring about their action. We also have, which is even worse for any engineer, is the unreliability of measurement. According to Bošković, 1 meter here is not the same as 1 meter there. And if you look at your watch and you look at 5 seconds, the 5 seconds that now the way it lasts is not the same that the 5 seconds yesterday. And so if you want to calculate the age of the universe, well, it's almost impossible because we don't have a standard measurement of time. And unless we know how time varies in its duration over time. So it's kind of bringing at two levels. And so in short, what it means is that something that we talk about is the two types of knowledge. We can see the state of the system, but if we see the state of the system, which is the position, we cannot see the actions of the system, and that is the movement. So it's either one or the other. In natural way, we do it very fast, but it's still simultaneously. So it's not a combination of the two. That's what I wanted to say.